All right. All right. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the very first podcast episode of Dive Bar City. And we are broadcasting or recording the show from the New Man Place Lounge in Trenton, Michigan. It's located, for those that aren't familiar with Southeast Michigan or downriver, the lounge, New Man Place Lounge. It is located at the corner of Newman Street and Woodmont. So
a very walkable location for the residential area here.
We do get a lot of foot traffic in and out of our establishment here. And for some, it's better off that they remain on foot. All right, so with me is a lifelong friend who I couldn't think of anybody else that I'd rather kick off this podcast series with than my buddy Jeff. So Jeff, I've known him practically my entire life, and he's got a lot of good stories. He's a very funny guy. He's got a lot of experiences, and he's going to share with us his views on what this podcast is all about, which is it is a podcast show about music, sports, and pop culture. And Jeff is extremely strong on music and pop culture.
Careful.
And he's strong on music and pop culture and sports. He is less strong. He did make his T-ball team, and he was one of the fastest kids on that T-ball team. And I don't know, maybe that'll come up today. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, we've got a few things we want to cover today, but there is going to be a regular segment of this show, and I'm borrowing it from one of my favorite all-time shows, Detroiters, on Netflix, and so I am going to give them credit. But the segment is called Chump of the Week. So when I told Jeff earlier this week that this was one of the segments, his first response was he was afraid it might be him. Luckily for Jeff, he did not do anything to earn that distinction. But somebody else we know did, by the name of Tony Romo. So I don't know if folks out there are aware of Tony Romo. He's a former quarterback for Dallas Cowboys. He is a highly paid announcer for CBS, broadcasting NFL games. And he got pulled over under suspicion of drunk driving outside of Milwaukee. And he was a total arrogant, entitled jackass to the police.
It made for some great body cam footage, though. Okay. I would love to hear him color commentate it.
Oh, he practically did. The guy was doing stretches, using the police car for support. He was laughing at the officer's questions, standard questions. Do you have a head injury? He laughed in her face.
He was laying the bricks for failing the sobriety test.
For failing it? The sobriety test, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, back injuries.
Back injury,
yeah. All my concussions. Yeah. It was all his concussions weren't going to help him pass the blood test. So I don't know where he thought. I don't know what his end game was.
We don't have those results yet, though, do we?
We don't. I'm not aware of them. But for anybody that saw his behavior on the video, obviously it's all over the internet. I mean, he's a celebrity, but he's also a jackass celebrity. So he's my chump of the week, Tony Romo. So, all right. So moving on, a big part of this show is music. And Jeff and I are both huge music fans. We grew up in Detroit. We grew up in the 70s and 80s when Detroit had, this is not an exaggeration. Detroit had probably 4 rock and roll radio stations competing against each other throughout me and Jeff's teenage and 20s.
There was no lack of local talent.
Yeah, Riff, Wheels, WABX, and then CSX came on, W4. Yeah, and then you had your Toledo, WILT down in Toledo. You had your Ann Arbor station. It was everywhere. And we were very fortunate for that. And we also grew up in the era of, in the 70s, the big giant concerts, Silverdome shows, obviously Cobo Hall, Pine Knob. And then, and then later on, I think, I didn't go to clubs when I was young, but, now you start to hear more about, the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, some of these St. Andrews and these clubs in Detroit that I didn't even know.
All the local bands that you loved that you were surprised didn't make it.
Yeah. And so, and then there's obviously local bars around here that got a lot of live music. One place comes to mind, the New Place Lounge, which is not the New Man Place Lounge. It is
No, it
is the new.
it is the definition of a dive bar.
Yeah. So we should stop in there and maybe do a show.
I can't believe the place is still open. It's opening that door is like it's a time machine.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the definition or one of the attributes of a lot of dive bars, right?
Right.
It's like the time doesn't.
Even the prices. God bless them.
Even the paper towel dispensers.
No, there were none of those.
Remember the ones where it was just basically like a thick towel that just it just went around on a spool. So
And it had been decades since it was going around.
Yeah. So as you're drying your hands, you're drying in the same spot that maybe a truck driver had dried his hands like maybe 8 months earlier. It's disgusting. All right, so Jeff. All right, so this has been a busy concert summer.
What was your first concert?
My first concert?
Yeah.
My first concert was Huey Lewis and the News, 1985, Akron, Ohio. Their amphitheater down there is called Blossom Music Theater. And Huey Lewis, they were at the height of their powers in 85. They had a lot, and we'll cover.
Is that pre or post sports?
It was post. So it was right around that album. And then they had just done Power of Love for Back to the Future.
Okay.
So that was their peak, I'm guessing. And so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, at 15 years old. I don't even think I was 15 yet, but it was 85. So what about yours?
Mine was, I was probably 12 years old, I believe, 12 or 13. It was Cobo Arena. It was my friend's birthday party. His mom took about 6 of us down to Cobo Arena to see the Village People.
Stop it.
And I'm pretty sure she was sorry she took us down there.
Okay, so give me an approximate calendar year. What is this, like 78?
Probably 1978.
So you're 13 years old.
12 or 13, yeah.
You see the Village People in 1978.
At the peak.
So were you aware what their?
I mean, there was Studio 54 stuff going on in the mosh pit down below, which.
Were you aware what the Village People like? Their
It was pop music to all of us. We had, we didn't put it all together at that point.
How about, okay.
I mean, we were friends, but we saw some guys that were really friends.
Okay, so was there family-friendly restrooms for you guys instead of going into the...
I must have pushed the restroom memory down somewhere because I don't even remember going to the bathroom.
Okay, so we'll see whether or not you have any breakthroughs with therapy this week. You got, doctor, my friend brought up some painful memories. Oh, okay. So that was your first concert. You got any shows coming up?
Let's see. I'm going to see Santana in Vegas in November. Oh, Rhythm Corps, October. Courtesy of Mark.
Okay, yeah.
Only until I pay him, then it's not courtesy of Mark.
I'm gonna be at that show too, so I'll be looking for you.
And there's an example of a great local talent that didn't become mainstream.
Rhythm Corps?
I mean, they had one really great album. So did Billy Squier.
Okay, that's not totally true. But Billy Squier's got a lot of great music other than that album, but we can talk about that. We'll get into that another time. But okay, so while we're on that topic, okay, so yeah, Rhythm Corps, definitely this place will be sold out. It'll be packed. This is where they were from.
St. Andrews, yeah.
Yeah, they had one hit, Common Ground. I think they were a national touring act, so there are other people in other towns that I'm sure know who they are. But I didn't go to those other towns.
No, I'm sure they were a national touring opener.
Yeah, they were alternative. They had that alternative kind of. I could see them, opening for Tears for Fears or something. So underrated bands. Who pops to mind? And if I have to remind you of one that I think I had to tell you how good they really were, it was Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, agreed.
And why did that happen? What did you say that
People never got past 2 of their songs, Jailbreak
and Boys Are Back in Town. Yeah. Yeah, so most people, you're right. I mean, most people that they were a 70s band, right? And so people like our parents and probably maybe us, if that musical taste had trickled down, or if we had bought the greatest hits and like, oh wow, man, this is a really good. And that's what happened with Thin Lizzy for me. Like I bought the greatest hits, and I was like, okay, it's more than just those two mega songs, and so. And as you listen to them, especially Spotify, like a platform like Spotify, that gives you the opportunity to kind of dive deep into bands. And so, yeah, I consider them underrated. Another one that comes to mind is Cheap Trick.
Yes.
So so there's a classic. They open for a lot of bands. And I think they headline not a lot anymore. Or if they do.
They're touring again.
Yeah, so I've seen them at Soundboard Casino. I've seen them as a headliner. And I think, you get past Surrender and Dream Police and I Want You to Want Me, and I think some people just, they don't
No,
know.
there's a lot more there.
Yeah.
The tribute band we saw play out at
Token Lounge.
Token Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great.
Great show.
Yeah.
And, obviously, Cheap Trick, they had that huge album in the 70s, Live at Budokan. I mean, that's what really, I think that's what put them over the top, because they were kind of but we can go on and on. Okay, who else?
Rockets.
The Rockets, local band.
Local band, but
Desire, Turn Up the Radio, Lucille. Yeah, they were hard. In fact, their one album was no ballads. And I remember one of the disc jockeys said maybe that's why they didn't make it. So what was...
might be right.
Yeah, that and probably, I think, I knew they were pretty hard. They lived hard, from what I was told or what I heard. So so you got Rhythm Corps. So my next show is Foo Fighters. You ever seen Foo?
I have not.
Dave Grohl and the boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. I'm seeing them here this week. I've seen them 4 or 5 times. Looking forward to that show. And so we'll see how that goes. So how about like a memorable concert? Because, I mean, you've seen shows in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And now into the 2020s.
I saw the Who and the Stones in the early 80s at the Silverdome. But I don't know. Probably one of the funnest concerts I was ever at was the Toledo Speedway Jam. Just a bunch of kids packed in the car on a summer day, heading down to Toledo, just parking out in somewhere nowhere and walking to that show.
And who was there for that?
Donnie Iris was there.
Foreigner.
All
right. Who else?
I can't remember. We got loaded. I can't remember who else was there.
But
I mean, there was no seating. I mean, it was in the middle of the speedway.
You got loaded.
Oh,
what year was this?
It was. Yeah, it had to be 83,
83,
84.
83. Yeah, 84. Yeah, you were probably like 19, 18. Ohio was 19 back then.
Probably 5 guys packed into Wallakee's EXP. That's what we drove down in.
It was like a clown car.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain it was just a 2-seater.
So one of my memorable shows, actually, it was more so less about the performance and more about where the show was and the chaos that was surrounding the show. It was Kid Rock in Toledo, and I went with you and your wife. So for listeners, the Toledo Convention Center is like a shoebox. It's a rectangle building. And so somebody in their infinite wisdom thought that they would put the stage on the wide side. And so from the back row to the front row was very close, but from side to side, it was huge. And so we were lucky enough. I think we had our seats were like row 10, which would have put us like maybe in towards the middle of that
right.
that setup. And when Kid Rock came on, there was a massive crush of people.
Just a crowd surge of reminiscent of like stuff you'd see in the 70s.
Yeah, festival seating. Yeah.
Right.
And so Jeff is not the tallest guy, and his wife is not the tallest. And next thing you know, we've got just tons of people standing in front of us. And so I don't know. I took matters into my own hands and I became an usher, started instructing people to find their seats.
You became an angry guy telling people to get off your lawn.
It worked, though. It worked. So, yeah, and then another memorable show for me was the band Audio Slave at the Fox. And I always wonder why the Fox books like heavy, hard rocking bands in there, because it just seems like it doesn't fit that.
It fits the state, just next
Yeah.
door with a much smaller. It's a much smaller venue, obviously, but
Yeah, but I'm afraid things are going to get broken at the Fox, and I kid you not, it's it's not they don't have a main floor, it's all seats, and that building was shaking. The floor was shaking underneath my feet, and I was thinking, I don't think this is supposed to work like this. But that was a great show. Audio Slave, they played Soundgarden tunes. They played Rage Against the Machine tunes. They played their own tunes. That was awesome. So speaking of, Little Speedway Jam and those bands. So you were in your heyday of teenagehood when MTV came on the scene.
yeah. And actually, I lived in Southgate, so we had cable sooner. So I mean, when it first came out, I was right.
So what was that, like 81, 82?
Yeah.
82. And so do you remember like it seemed like every hour they would kind of cycle through, right? Or every half hour?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know how many times they played "Harden My Heart"
Yeah. Oh, that was
by Quarter Flash.
that was one of the early.
That was one of the
That's
early
what.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing it when it first came out. Obviously some friends had cable. Some people were getting it cable sooner than other areas. And yeah, that was definitely a game changer for music. I remember we'd sit in the living room and we would have MTV on the TV, console TV, of course. And we'd have the sound down, and we'd be playing the radio or cassettes, and then when a good video would come on, then we'd switch, right? We'd switch the volume.
And parents would call it MTV, EMPTY.
Well, there's a scene in Talladega Nights, and I think, I don't know, Will Ferrell or the other guy, the other race car driver in Talladega Nights, one of them asked the other one, it's like, why do you watch TV but listen to the radio while you're watching TV? And the answer was, because I like to party.
Good answer.
Oh, so speaking of MTV and radio and that kind of thing, did you ever listen to Drew and Mike?
Oh, all the time.
Drew and Mike show?
Oh, loved them.
I'd-
Actually got on once or twice. Once is memorable for me. I got to speak with the Gilbert Gottfried, one of my favorite comedians. And I was sitting in a parking lot somewhere, and I just called. I couldn't even believe I got through. But anyways, it was a screener. I think it was Walters. Answered the phone, and he goes, "Yeah, what's your question for Gilbert?" And I told him, and he goes, "Oh, hang on." So I waited for a few minutes, and finally, Drew and Mike came on and said, "Yeah, Jeff on the line. Got a question for Gilbert, Jeff?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Big time fan, long time fan, Gilbert." I said, my question is between the Aflac duck voice and the bird from Aladdin. So which voice do you find it's easier to get the children into your van?" And without skipping a beat, he goes, "I like to do it the old-fashioned way. Will you help me find my puppy?" So yeah, that was my Drew and Mike experience.
You saw Gilbert Gottfried again.
Oh yeah. Me and Dave saw him in Royal Oak somewhere. It wasn't at the music theater, but he was doing a benefit. Some hospital folks hired him to do a benefit.
Wait a second. Hospital people
It was
hired
some hospital charity thing, and
hired Gilbert Gottfried.
yeah, and so we're walking in and we find out it's a charity event, and we're all disappointed. We're like, he's gonna lay down. It's not gonna be as fun as it could be, and oh my God.
Obviously, his sense of humor is so you gotta.
Whoever hired him got fired that night.
So do you any memorable bits from that show?
Oh yeah, it was the Mackenzie Phillips bit that he did, and the backstory on that is Mackenzie Phillips. What show was she on?
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a child, I guess she
Yeah, her dad.
Yeah, her dad had a special relationship.
Her dad,
with
John Phillips. Yeah, they were.
And that was part of his bit. He goes, Mackenzie Phillips' dad used to come into her room and rape her every night. Every night there'd be raping. He would just come in and just have his way with her. And I can't even get my little girl to hold my hand when we cross the street. And everyone in the place was booing him. And myself, Dave, and his coworker, we stood up and just applauded him. I don't know if that was before or after he lost his job with Aflac for the.
Yeah, he went down. He went down in a ball of flames. Yeah.
I think he'd already made his dough by then.
So is that where he said he just realized that he lacked confidence?
Oh yeah, maybe I don't have enough confidence. Yeah, that was his closer with that joke. And I remember Drew and Mike used to talk about how cheap he was. You know, all the merch and everything, he would just take handfuls of it.
Oh, when he visit the show?
Yeah. Yeah, they used to laugh about how cheap he was.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are kind of weirdos. You know, they carve out their little niche, but you know, in their real life, they're just kind of.
It's odd meeting him in person. I never met Gilbert, but you know, my wife used to work at a comedy club when we first met, and you go to talk to these guys when they're on stage, and they're shy. They're introverts.
How about our friend Robert De Niro? He's probably one of the, not probably, he is one of the greatest actors ever. And then you see him on Letterman, or you see him
Saturday Night Live.
He is
It was
just
horrible.
He's just a dud.
If it's not written down, he's not off the cuff.
No, he's and he's like an angry old get off my lawn guy now too. But yeah, even back in the day, he just, when he was on his own without, like you said, without a script, he just came off very flat. Although one of his most famous movies, Goodfellas. You like it? Or you like Goodfellas?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like Goodfellas?
What's? I mean, obviously, I think you and me and our crew, we talk a lot about we watch a lot of the same movies over and over again, and then we memorize all the lines, and then when people are around us that aren't really familiar with us, they have no idea what we're even saying. It's like a different language. So what's some of your favorite scenes from, or a scene or two from Goodfellas?
Who doesn't love the restaurant scene when "Are you a clown to me?" And how it ends with him smashing a bottle of champagne over the waiter's head.
What makes me so funny? What makes me so funny?
Oh, it wasn't the waiter; it was the owner of the restaurant.
Yeah.
What the hell his name was?
Yeah. He's like, no, it's just the way you tell a story. He's like, what do you mean? Oh, you're just funny, Tommy. Funny, like a clown. Yeah, they got a little tense. Got a little tense for everybody.
You want to hear something funny? Last week, that guy asked me to christen his kid.
What about, okay, so the one scene, like when I think of that movie, I mean, obviously, that scene, that's probably one of the most famous. But when this is like this is how the movie opens. It's like they jump timeline throughout the movie.
The car ride, yeah.
The car ride. They're in the car, and then you hear a doo, 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 doo. And then they're looking around, and they ignore it at first, and then they hear it again, and they're like, is something wrong with your car? I don't think so. That's probably just the road. And then you hear it again, doo, doo, doo. And they all look at each other like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Pull the car over. And they pull the car over there and pop the trunk, and that dude's in the trunk, and he is so pissed that dude is still alive.
Yeah, they killed him twice.
Killed him twice. No, actually killed him 3 times. They killed him once in the bar when they stomped him to death. Then he stabs him, like he's got some kind of long knife, machete or whatever, stabs him like 5 or 6 times, and then fires his gun into the car like another 5 or 6 times. Billy Bats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they go to Tommy's mother's house to have something to eat. And then they see a picture hanging in the kitchen, like
someone we know.
Yeah, she was like painting by numbers or something. Oh, yeah, that was something. So how about celebrities? Have you ever seen a celebrity out and about?
Except for a couple of comedians, I only met one guy in the movies, and it was sometime during the '90s. A bunch of us went to a hockey game in Chicago. It was the old hockey arena. I forget the name of it, but anyways, I went.
Chicago Stadium.
I went down in the middle of a period to get some more beers, and I'm the only one at the beer counter. And they sold me 2 of them, and I paid. Quickly turned around. I'm thinking I'm the only one there. Quickly turned around, and ran right into the chest of the guy standing behind me. And it was a big guy. And I look up, and looking down at me is Gary Busey.
Stop it. Okay, so
I couldn't, it stunned me, and it happened so quickly. And I couldn't think of his name, and I said, "Hey, you're Ryan." And he goes, "Yeah."
he didn't even let you get the name out.
No, he was standing next to him was Jim Belushi, and these guys were ripped.
Oh boy,
They're probably coked up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, they partied hard. So this is when Busey was still functioning.
Yeah.
It was before
It was prior to the motorcycle accident.
Oh yeah, and you ever see the one interview, and he's talking about butter sausage?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a mess now. Nice.
And I saw Bob Seger down at Ford Field once.
All right.
I yelled Bob, and he turned, and I said, "Hey," and he said, "Hey." So I got that going for me.
I'm sure he tells that story as well.
Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? So, yeah.
You're going to have to leave me in charge of that button, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good button. That is a good button. It's a great story. Great story. Everybody loves that story. So what shows that you watch? You watch Family Guy?
Yes. Yeah. And my wife likes it as well. So, I mean, if you can find a girl that likes Family Guy.
That's a keeper. That's a keeper. And if I can tell you one of my favorite episodes.
Go.
The one, and I have played this scene for people at work. And I love this scene so much, but it does go on for a little bit. People get uncomfortable. I could tell they're looking at me like, and I've had to stop. It's the scene where Brian owes Stewie some money. And Stewie's like, "Hey, yeah, I just want to check on that $50 you owe me, He goes, "I'm going to need that by Friday." And Brian's like he's just nonchalant about it. He's like, "Yeah, you get your money, and then, okay, it'd be great if you do." And then he doesn't come up with the money. And then Stewie just goes crazy on him. He smashes a glass in his face, shoves his head in the toilet, beating him with a curtain rod.
Nothing's sacred in that show.
Throws him down the stairs, takes a golf club to him. And by the time the scene's over, he shoots him in the leg and then roasts him with a flamethrower. That's my favorite.
Or the coworker he's describing to someone else. The guy named Reggie wears all yellow shoes, yellow pants, yellow shirt. He's got a big gold chain. He's got a great build, but he never works out. And then a white guy shows up. "Hey, Reggie!"
That's your favorite?
Yeah. That's one of them. It's memorable.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. So what about any other animated shows?
The Simpsons is good. It's probably the longest running. Aside from Meet the Press, it's probably the longest running show on TV.
That show, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background of that show. Like, so if you're watching casually, you're not gonna. It's not gonna do as much for you as if you're actually focused.
Yeah, they've started to cave to stereotypes now, so.
I haven't watched it in a while, but
I haven't watched in a while either, but that's what I've heard.
What about like Netflix series? What are you into these
We're
days?
rewatching Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Yeah, great show that starts out in the early '60s.
It is a good show. There was somebody that was trying to tell me that Mad Men was one of the best series of all time.
I think it was the first episode when all the parents are together at a party and all the kids are running around, and a kid knocks something off the counter, and there happens to be a guy standing there, not his kid. He slaps him, and then the actual parent shows up while the kid's standing there crying. Asks the kid, "What'd you do?" And I think he makes the kid apologize to the guy who just hit him. It takes a village.
Yeah. Somebody else slaps this kid, and then the parent shows up and is like glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a different time. So, have you ever watched Smoking Bandits on Netflix? Have you seen that?
Oh, who hasn't seen Smoking the Bandit? The greatest car chase movie ever?
I'll tell you what, that movie holds up really well. I was surprised because I just kind of remember him laughing, and then Jackie.
No one takes the entire movie seriously. That's what made it so much fun. Fun to watch.
Man, I tell you what.
It had to be a blast to make.
For that, I think that was like 77, 78. The stunts in that movie. Like, most of them were car related, but I mean, those are serious stunts for that time.
And God, the musician's name, it escapes me right now. I can't believe it.
Jerry Reed.
That's it. The music he made for it.
Yeah. Got a long way to go, short time to get there, eastbound and down. Yeah.
But that was a great song.
And then he also, he was a snowman,
Yeah.
the truck driver. And he had his dog. What was his dog's name? It's escaping me.
Fred.
Fred? Yeah, the big basset hound.
He would have been great to see live. I would have.
The
I went to Nashville one time. Earl and I went to Nashville and I bought tickets to Opry. Not didn't know who was, just wanted to go just to say that's something to do. You see it once. And when we got there, there's band. We had no idea who was playing, who was on the bill.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, when he came out with that movie Hatfields and McCoys, he did all the music for it. So they did all the music there. And he was there. The Oak Ridge Boys were there. And The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Charlie Daniels Band.
Yep, got to see him play it live.
Good old Charlie Daniels.
That was probably the highlight.
Yeah. I saw Charlie Daniels Band at the Dearborn Homecoming. And I saw him. He was on with Leonard Skinner. He was like just touring. Not touring. He was like riding along with them. He was just, they'd bring him out and he'd jam with them, but I don't think he wasn't opening for them or anything.
I honestly can't name one other song he played, but yeah.
Charlie Daniels?
Yeah.
Legend of Willie Swamp?
No.
Easy Rider?
Nope.
Simple Man?
Did he play Happy Birthday? I'm taking that button away from you because you're not fast enough on it.
Or maybe you're just not that funny. I should get yourself another drink. So yeah, so you're talking about Jerry Reed. So this show, Dive Bar City.
I'm sorry, and he wasn't an actor, and he was great in that movie.
Yeah, it seems like actors, they want to become singers. Singers want to become actors. Yeah, he was great in that movie. But it reminds me, like, bars in the 70s, especially, like, the honky tonks, the bar in that movie where he got beat up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those were, chicken wire in front of the band. What kind of music do you play here?
That was just kind of a roadside bar, though, with some rogue bikers in it.
Yeah, well, he was a trucker. But those were honky tonks, right? Those were dive bars. They weren't, it wasn't like, they weren't at some country. He wasn't stopping at some country club, while he was bootlegging Coors across the country. So, but yeah, so that's the feel of kind of this bar that we're in right now. It's actually more of a garage, but...
for about 20 years, I worked down at, just seasonal, I worked down at Cobo for the auto show. And a bunch of, I didn't tell you this, there were like at least 3 biker clubs down there. And they all coexisted during the show. And
they were working at the...
Yeah, and I happened to be, I was the...
What services did you need from biker clubs?
Oh, they had forklifts, material. Moving materials around.
Oh, so these guys, it's like when they weren't in the when they weren't when they weren't doing biker stuff, they had real jobs.
Right. Yeah, they're iron workers in construction.
Cement.
Yeah, everyone did.
Vending.
Right.
Yeah. Laundromats.
Breaking.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, they all coexisted. I was a night guy on Lexus, and I remember. This one guy approached me. He goes, "Hey, I need some stuff for my clubhouse if they're getting rid of anything over here." And it was so much easier for all these German car companies to throw stuff away than ship it back to Japan or ship it back to Germany. So I mean, the new stuff that they threw away was incredible. So I got this guy just a bunch of stuff. I got him a trophy case, and a lot of woodworking stuff for his clubhouse. And he came up to me later, and he told me he was the president of this. I'm not going to name the biker club, but he told me he was the president of it.
Smart move.
Yeah. And he invited me down for the Super Bowl. He says, "Come on down to the Super Bowl party." He goes, "We're gonna have Foxy Boxing." And I said, "What's Foxy Boxing?" He goes, "Oh, we get a bunch of strippers all coked up and put them in the boxing ring and let them go nuts." I decided it was in my best interest not to go to this party because I would probably say the wrong thing to someone.
Yeah, as this show is working its way through, I realize just...
That'll wind up on the editing floor as well, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. But it makes me...
You can shoehorn it in there somewhere.
It makes me realize just how PC we are in our sense of humor.
It's early. You might get one letter.
Yeah. The thing on YouTube does explicit content, and so this show has definitely been explicit. So appreciate that. Looking forward to having you back on. That was funny.
I'll give you $8 for these mics right now.
All right, I'll tell you what, we're hitting the 45 minute mark. So this is, believe it or not, we did have a demo. So that we did think we knew what we were doing here. So, but I think as a first show, I think we got through it okay.
Well, thanks for having me on for the Maiden Voyage.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Jeff. Thanks. Get a round of applause for Jeff. Thank you.
So many people I want to thank.
Oh, standing ovation. All right, tip of the hat to Jeff. All right. With that, we're gonna say goodbye for this first week, and we'll see what happens at the editing room, and then see if we got something worth putting in the can.
It reminds me of that Village People concert.
Something in the can.
Putting something in the can.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I got to put this in the middle. Yeah. All right. With that, AMF, and we'll see you next time.